Oh, hey, look at this.
Nailed it.
You better have a dead battery situation or something.
I have just moved into the house, had to call Mid-Continent because my internet was not turned on.
Oh, have so much fun with that. Mid-Continent's the best.
We
Yeah.
figured these babes were having a good old time in the backyard or something.
Yeah.
Hey, he was mowing the lawn right as I pulled up for the first time when I was taking out a trailer. As he's mowing the lawn, he screams, "Go away!" And I was gonna go bring him a beer and like a cooling towel while he's mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
And then I remembered I have no beer in my beer fridge because I just moved in.
Because you just
So
moved in.
I went out and got some beer.
You'll probably go get some beer, right?
No, I'd hate to be a neighbor where someone comes over and says, "Hey, neighbor," and I can't say, "This is my garage fridge. Would you like something from it?"
Yeah. Would you like a water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
From the
think
tap.
I think I have like a half drank prime. Like you can have
I
like
mean, that's
I
still
don't know
pretty.
which kid. Some kid drank it.
Backwash. There's no backwashing.
And it's gonna be like grape, which apparently, according to the kids, is just disgusting.
It's horrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. There's fake grape taste, which is amazing. Like a grape Powerade Zero is the best thing in the world. Whatever they put into prime tastes like dog shit that's been run through a cheesecloth of hate.
Yeah. My kids explain that grape is not, you don't want it.
God,
No.
Mm-mm.
none of the prime is good.
I agree. I think Prime is very overrated.
No.
I prefer Gatorade. I just do. And Logan Paul is an off-putting person.
Sorry. I
So
want it noted that I'm rocking no hat.
I would, but this has been my brand, and I've established my brand, and I've
we
got to
discussed
stay
it.
with my
Kyle
brand.
had your brand nailed down.
so I also I'm glad you kind of popped up a little higher into the screen because I thought for a moment I'm only able to see you sort of shoulders up. I thought maybe you were wearing a seersucker jacket now that you live in the South End. I thought you're really good for it.
Still in work clothes, everybody. Still in work clothes.
I don't know. Amanda mentioned in North Dakota Nice, Kyle had a summer of seersucker. So yes. So
I will wear the suit next time.
Yep, we all would have assumed that you read North Dakota Nice and you were just trying to sip on Kyle's Kool-Aid with the
No.
seersucker.
Our six listeners that have never listened to this, they'd be confused if I didn't start on brand. Like
Right.
Tori, fill me in on the drama of baseball.
the drama of baseball.
Yeah.
Well,
I
should
don't
I
want to hear
start?
anything good that happened. I want to hear about
Nope.
Well, so Kyle's been complaining over the past podcast episodes that we've been too PC and my takes have been too vanilla. Let's go with that, vanilla. I could tell you a story about how I lost my cool and yelled a Legion umpire, so probably a 16 to 17-year-old kid off of a field.
as it should
That,
be.
yeah, I would call that a low point for the season for me.
That depends who you're talking to.
Yeah.
In a
Was
game
it
in Lakota,
deserving?
North Dakota. I felt so at the time, but it's not easy to sleep at night when you realize you just yelled at a 16-year-old kid and maybe told him he was garbage. And
Those kids are in the prime of their life. They need a little bit of cutting down. Okay.
You know-
They feel way good enough about themselves.
for all the good and level things I've said thus far about youth sports and how we shouldn't be so invested in our kids,
Yeah.
boy, did I blow it epically.
You got to be reasonable.
We all have.
Everybody's allowed.
I didn't dip my toe in the pool of ass hat. I went full into it.
Just
Yeah.
jump in,
You know what? We've all been there.
splash
Ooh.
around. The water's fun.
Yeah, I was like,
told you, I prefer that. I like a little bit of fun. I don't, vanilla people are vanilla, and I like a little chaos. Bring on the chaos.
Yeah, we know.
No, it makes it more fun. I don't know. I'm sorry. There's those that don't agree, but my nephew's got invited to a charity golf tournament today, and like I said to Matt,
awesome.
Kyle witnessed it.
Yeah,
It
I was
Can I
there.
stop you?
Tonight at Maple Lake, and it was on the 17th tee off, Kyle?
yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
And I asked him, I said, appropriate, not very, but would you rather hang out with boring people?
Yeah.
I said, I wouldn't. I'd rather hang out with people that are fun.
It only
So
took 25 minutes for them to tee off, though. So that was
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Gives the Yeah, gives a real good handle on what it's like to play on a tour or something like that. Just the sitting around and waiting and.
I think the PGA should implement that. Like, hey, you want to fight somebody?
Yeah.
I do.
Oh yeah.
Would be very good for golf. I think it would bring a whole new crowd if they just encourage, like, you got a problem with someone, you should probably hit them.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's see what happens.
Since we're recording this, if Dana White steals this tomorrow, Corey's going to represent us in court, and then we'll end up owing them money, but at least we'll have it. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be in that lawsuit, and I'll be like, even a good lawyer couldn't have won this. Pat, have we started the what are you drinking tonight segment? I feel like
we have not said who we are. We have not said the name of the podcast. We've just sort of jumped right into it. So this is, I think, setting the record longest cold open at 13 minutes.
And I showed up late for the cold, by the way, fashionably late,
Yeah.
rocking the gray beard and the baseball hat.
Yeah,
Even
and
if
a seersucker.
open,
Yeah.
I think we really came up with something about fighting in golf.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Let's bring this up later.
right. I mean, but if I worked for the PGA Tour and we were spitballing, what can we do?
Instead of taking naps during watching golf,
Yeah.
people would have people over.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean?
It's a good idea. It's a really good idea.
And
Etiquette.
Is McElroy gonna fight Jordan Spieth?
Well, and then you're gonna bring back the foul mouth guy, John Daly.
John Daly.
Yeah,
He's coming back, baby.
I think he has a son that's ready to go. So you got a legacy type of deal.
Actually, the Tigers game.
Yeah.
I assume Matt's talking about actual golfers. I don't know because I watch actual sports, but I can get behind that.
Yeah, golf,
Yeah.
cool.
Golf.
Yeah, I can watch bowling. I mean, it's a thing to nap to.
Yeah.
I think. Well, I tell you that does present a. Oh, I'm sorry, Kelly. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, if you want to get into go down a rabbit hole that you'll enjoy, I watched a beanbag cornhole competition, and I watched a fella born with no arms and no legs kick the shit out of everyone that he competed against.
Who threw his body?
Was he participating or an actual bag?
He was participating.
Okay.
He was not one of the beanbags. And when I tell you this guy was so dialed in, it was
How dialed in was he?
so dialed in. He was just ringers every time, and I was like, this is something I could watch.
How was he throwing?
Okay, don't make me reenact this because we're gonna go offensive here really fast. But so he had arms but like no hands. But this guy was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like absolutely.
Body.
Well, good for him. I think I'd watch that as well.
Well, for the record, in words that are allowed to be said in this podcast, we've got rabbit hole and cornhole.
Yeah.
Right.
Matt's out of the room now. Too. Anybody wanted to say butt plug 3 or 4 times just to?
Right.
I have liner notes. I want to hear Matt's feelings on Von Dutch and butt plugs. I mean,
He's just dealing with our zoo.
Okay. The Q&A is coming up. Actually, now that he's gone, we should say this show is called North Dakota After Dark on the Pull Tab Sports Network. And welcome to our guest, Matt Moreland.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the full introduction, Kelly?
Well, we live together.
Wow.
So
Easy.
that's why it was really easy to get him here.
Yeah.
My husband Matt,
Your boss.
yeah, well, I like to differentiate between my boyfriend and my husband.
Yeah.
This one's my husband, Matt, and he's on tonight. He is a high school hockey coach, and he's played at many levels, played high school, juniors, minor pro, and
not a big deal.
yeah, he kind of
Lower minor.
I just listened to him on the hockey knowledge, and then I parrot it, and then everybody's like, she knows a lot about hockey, and I'm like, yeah, I do.
Yeah, I want to ask the one question I ask all our guests to vet them is, do they have 2 healthy calves?
I know I have one.
Okay, so that's good. That's gets you in the conversation.
Uh-huh.
Are we talking about cattle or the body parts here, Kyle?
Body
Bottom
parts.
of the leg.
Not an egg.
Ah! Hey, can we blur that image out? That might not make the podcast right there. That might get the old NS not suitable for work on the podcast. I'd hate to see our podcast being rated with thirst traps.
Yeah, that's true. That's Matt's all about thirst trap.
Gotta take the shirt off here.
It's really hot in our house.
Man, the air conditioning broke where you live. So one of the reasons we had Matt on today, we've had a pretty eclectic 3 episodes so far, ranging from a little bit of hockey to a lot of other stuff. So in an effort to bring it back, we thought we'd have Matt on to talk a little bit about high school hockey in North Dakota. So with that, I think the 3 of us will just be quiet. So Matt, you have about 45 minutes here.
You're giving me nothing.
Go.
Go.
All right. I don't know what to say.
So
Might have to teach you some questions.
It's getting
yeah,
better.
I have questions. So one of the things we had touched on in previous episodes is that this is primarily a North Dakota centric podcast. In looking at the high school programs in the state, we have not only, I guess it's sort of a blessing and a curse to be, right next door to Minnesota. You have the opportunity to play a lot of good high school teams, but then we're also, I think, in some instances viewed as sort of the little brother in the relationship, and there's some negative connotations to that. So could you give your take on what it's like to coach essentially right on the border, playing a lot of Minnesota teams, having some success there, but also not maybe getting some of the respect given, the record your club's had against Minnesota teams the last few years?
The respect side of it, I will give credit due to like East Side. Palmo's great, obviously loves to play it. And then Hardwick, like they had the best team in Minnesota last year.
Yeah.
He came to us, right? Or no, we went to them last year, but they had the best team 2 years ago where they came
And
to
you're
us.
talking about War Road.
Warroad.
Yeah.
We have like Roseau, they're always good playing with us. But yeah, there's a there's a motivation to want to beat them all the time just because it's, hey, you're North Dakota, and we have great players here.
And you've dealt with coaches even making that comment, coaches
Well,
out of Minnesota.
I'm not gonna mention it, but
No, I'm not putting anybody on blast, but I'm just saying like
fine.
that.
4 or 5 years ago, we had a coach that came up there defending state single A champions. They played us after they played.
You just give it away.
They played East Side, beat East Side like 5-2. And Palmo said, "Here, go across the border, play these guys." They didn't want to do it. Palmo said, "Hey, they're a good hockey team. We won 10-0." So there's things that I think in the big scheme of things, like we're right there, honestly. Are we as consistent? No. But we produce just as much kids per capita, I would say. But can we hang with the mid to higher level teams? I think we can. Especially even if we combine both our one town.
Right. Yeah.
Like I think we could even double it. But
right. Yeah.
I think so. But I like Minnesota. The guys up here that are prominent, they give us respect. They know that any given year we can win. They're gonna win. It's a good game. They put us on their schedule for a reason.
And Red River too. I mean,
yeah.
Yep, Red River, same thing. And that's Grand Forks hockey. Red River also always is.
Sure, where either team is really good.
Yep, you can't ever discount them.
Yeah, and now taking that thought just a step further, and I know you've helped some kids in the past move on from high school hockey. Do you think, what do you think the perception is once you get outside of our area, sort of, Eastern North Dakota, Northern Minnesota, if someone calls about a kid, and I run into this at times too, where you have to like talk your way out of, or talk your way over the North Dakota factor?
So there's 2 sides to this, and I think in Grand Forks has a bad mark on it. And I know you know this, Kyle, that the good old boys club, but they don't want to leave. They don't want to go very far away.
Yeah.
Then you have the other kids that are like, yeah, I really want to. Then when it comes down to, they don't, or they do.
Yeah.
So it's deciphering from the kids that want to or whatever. But um, I think in the last few years, kids have just like, what do we have? 10, 15 kids in the last 5 years spread out across North Dakota
All
playing,
over the place. Yeah.
not just Grand Forks Central, Red River, across North Dakota. They're
Yeah.
all playing. And that's fantastic. Coming from high school, not going to play AAA or not going to play here and there, but
Yeah.
It is hard because North Dakota has always been depicted upon as kids are good, they don't like it. And it's hard to get past that stigma to get them to move farther away from their comfort zone. And so I think that was a big thing for a lot of teams the last, I'm not going to say 10 years because they've come back, but 15 years, that's 5 years since the kind of teams kind of strayed from us. Now they think they can come into North Dakota and get a deal.
Yeah.
Like have to give them a tender, give them a draft pick, or they don't want to waste anything on it. It's an investment. And now though, that stigma's turned. Kids are wanting to play now. I mean, look at the kids that Red River just turned out. There's 5 of them playing, going on somewhere.
Right.
You got School, Beadle, Mason Ray's getting looks. He's coming back next year, but like there's a lot of kids that are starting interest in this. It's fantastic. So they're all going south.
And some north, which is good.
Yes, some north. Correct.
But to your point, at least there are, it's not like, oh, well, we can send 2 or 3 kids to play for Minot and Bismarck and
Yeah.
that's the high water mark. Now it's, as you know, all over the country, different levels, different places. And those kids are also moving on to college too. And that's not only Grand Forks, but you're getting kids out of Fargo and Bismarck and Minot going on too. So I think it's one of those situations where you stopped and paid attention to it, there's a lot more happening than a guy realizes. So I'm hopeful, I guess the point I was trying to make is I'm hopeful at some point a guy won't have to say, yeah, I know they're from North Dakota, but
I agree.
he needs to drop that sentence from a pitch.
And the last 3-4 years, it's not, I know they're from North Dakota, but are they from the East?
Yeah.
The West is producing players.
Yeah.
I mean, Kirkland Iries up at Minty State. You got Maxim Big going to Oklahoma. Like, there's kids playing everywhere over there, and they need to stay there.
Yeah.
Not move on, right? Like, the whole state in the whole is getting really, really good.
Which I think is nice too. And I think if you just kind of touched on that a little bit, just to keep them home a little bit longer. And that seems to be a bit of the trend, is having kids stay at home rather than leaving. And I know, you played junior coming up. Can you touch on that a little bit too? Maybe the differences between kids that were, at your age, the perception about leaving versus now, and how the kids might be a little different, maybe maturity wise, or, what you've noticed both from playing and now coaching.
So, I had a conversation with Andy Schneider about this. Back when we were playing, it seemed to us like there's more kids leaving, right? Like wanting to play. And I think there was really between Grand Forks and Fargo and stuff like that. There was a lot of kids playing. Ebbs and flows. Back then it was I'd say there was less opportunity. So because the USHL was just getting into that 16 to 18 range, where you had to, and then the NAHL wasn't quite great yet.
Right.
So that was kind of there was a stigma on the NA, like, you couldn't go play in the NA. It was either USHL or bust.
Yeah. So
there were some good players that didn't play on because they thought the NA wasn't good enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I wasn't USHL going to Lincoln Stars, not playing. but nowadays, like, there's so many good leagues, and like we have a kid playing on our Wednesday night skate that played the NA3 last 2 years, and I think he could be a North American Hockey League defenseman.
Yeah.
And like he was an NA3 guy, and he's a 20-year-old or 19-year-old. I'm like, I was shocked to hear that he wasn't already playing at that level. So there's so many good players now that, and I think more kids are, and I know in our program we were very, if you want to play, no matter where you go, develop your game. You can end up somewhere. If you want to play, be the last guy playing in your class.
Yeah.
That's what we try and teach these guys. And like back when I was playing, if you got a D3 offer, you were like,
Yeah.
I'll go get a job. And now it's like, what do you want? Go play hockey. You're gonna get a scholarship, go play hockey, you're playing college good hockey. So nowadays I think more kids are willing to stick their neck out there and do it, opposed to when because there wasn't so many options.
And I think we touched on that with Corey a little bit, maybe on the first or second episode. He has a son getting close to that age where it's there's sometimes there are some temptations to leave town and play. And Corey gave a very thoughtful and reasonable answer. And we chastised him for 5 or 10 minutes. So well thought out and heartfelt. And I really agree with Kelly and I that he didn't fly off the handle on something. But I think that's
objectionable.
Point to consider too is that it's nice that there are those options to stay and play and then go. You're no longer forced out at 15 or 16 to leave.
Yeah.
In my experience, a lot of the kids, it ends up being a detriment. It sounds exciting at first, but maybe just aren't quite mentally prepared to be away and go get into business hockey, as it were. So again, nice that have this, I guess, type of option.
Yeah.
To me. Corey, do you have anything else heartfelt, reasonable, well thought out and researched to add?
I'd like to object to that. That's leading, and that is clearly a violation of my character. I just don't agree with any of that.
I'm not licensed in North Dakota, so your words don't scare me.
I will not be held to any of that.
Yeah,
All free flowing now.
Kyle,
I have watched enough crime documentaries on Netflix that I feel like I could probably, leaving and porch and stuff. I have a degree in Netflix law. So
and now I'd like to follow that up.
Just all that terminology, I'll know what you're talking about.
Okay. So hypothetically, Kelly, if you were living in, say, let's pick a city out of the my hat, say Salt Lake City, and you were a real housewife, and your son wanted to leave to play in North Dakota, what would you say, yay or nay?
Ooh, that's tough.
And how would your friends take it?
Yeah, that is a toughie. Well, I guess it would be for me on the opposite side, like living in North Dakota and having to send my kid to Salt Lake City because they're a little crazy. Utah, do they have any junior teams? Because North Dakota, we've only got.
Why do you bring this up, Kyle? Because we've had this talk about if our kids are ready to go, would she be willing to let them?
They obviously need to live with their mom for
10, 12 more years. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's but I will say I like that kids aren't going because I remember when you played, there were 14-year-olds and 15, sorry, you couldn't go at 14, but 15. There were 15-year-olds. I just kind of thought I don't know that I think a 15-year-old has the mental maturity to handle it. I was just gonna say, and I'm sure that there were kids that did great. It's just that I would hope, not that I would stand in my kid's way, just want them to be a little bit older because I would just worry that, I don't know, just mental maturity I think comes into play a lot. And boys in particular, mental maturity is a little struggle.
Especially with Jack 11 going on 12, being girl crazy right now. So
yes,
I don't know if you heard that the same way I did, Kyle. I heard, no, don't you say that. Stay as long as you can.
That's what I heard.
Well,
that's what I heard.
They can live with me forever, like we've established. He's not pro that, but I've already established that they can live with me forever.
Kids
So I'm
aside, my personal opinion as a coach, if I had a kid now, selfishly, yeah, would I like them to stay if they were gonna stay? Yeah. But if they are physically able to go play and mentally ready to go, I wish them the best luck. Don't even come back.
Would you change your mind if your kids play different positions? Like, would you send a forward over a defenseman or a goalie, or by any combination thereof?
If my kid,
Yeah, just if hypothetically, if would your opinion change based on the position that player was playing? Say, call it 3 to 5 years
okay.
for your boys.
Does that ever happen? Does that ever get
Well,
offered?
I have a thought about this, about when to send players based on position, and I'm just curious on Matt's take.
I want to hear. So when we send these guys off to camps, if they make their camp, that we want them to call us and talk about what the coach has seen them.
Yeah.
And we kind of have a pretty good idea where they're at, right? Like, yeah, they're going to be good or whatever. But if their coach is, Caleb Johnson was a great example. I'll throw his name out there. I know he will get mad at me for saying it. But he called me after his Minnesota Wilderness camp and said, "Hey, I think I'm going to stay here." I said, "Okay." What the coach say? Goaltender now. And he said, "I'm going to play 15 to 20 games." I said, "Go."
Yeah.
If he's going to give you 15 to 20 games, he played 25 that
Yeah.
So that was a great opportunity for a guy to leave early. Now, would I have loved him to be in my net? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that wasn't good for him. He needed a challenge. Now, my kid, if he's gonna be, if the coach says, yeah, you're gonna be a third line center, but Jet's an offensive guy, maybe stay one more year because I don't know if he can play that role yet. But if a Mace, they don't B man, and they're gonna make him if B man and play his way into a higher role, I think in that case he can leave early. You know what I mean? Like there's this type of player brings into the consideration and what they have coming.
Yeah. Matt, would you say that? Sorry, Kyle, I kind of want to sneak in before
I was going to ask you the exact same question, so that's perfect. Good timing.
Well, I want to make the no knowledge dad who's got no hockey experience question, so then you can tell me how dumb the question is. But when you talk about the different players and whether they can go up, doesn't it depend on what skills that player exhibits at that age in that position? So let me give you an example. Maybe it's a defenseman who is an extremely good offensive defenseman, but his defensive game is behind, or a forward who's he can score, but he doesn't want to give up the puck ever. And your goalies tend to develop, to my knowledge, much later in life. As far as you see guys coming up in the NHL, you don't usually see young guys. You see guys hitting 24 through 27 kind of age. Yeah. So does it matter what for the various positions, what parts of their game are mature?
This is the only way I can answer. When we send guys off, and when we try to develop guys at Central, you have to have a secondary game, right? So if you're a goal scorer, you're a playmaker, or whatever you are, that's your first game. We're going to develop that, make you dominate that aspect of your game, but you better have a secondary. So because when you go your first year, odds are you're not going to step in if you leave early, you're not going to step in as a 17-year-old. Odds are against you that you're going to step in as a first, second line. So like when I say Jet, like he's a very high skilled guy, has some things to work on physically, whatever it is. If he were in that role where he can win some draws, whatever, but he has to work on things, he doesn't have a secondary game set. If he leaves early, he's going to be put in a situation where he can't adjust. and that builds confidence. My opinion. But now Mace is
These are our kids he's talking about. For anybody who's
I'm
not,
just saying, like Mace,
our 11-year-old or 8-year-old.
yeah,
but
Mace,
Hypothetical children that you've made up in your mind.
Yeah.
You're saying.
I'm just saying, like
These kids.
they're complete opposite players. So like Mace is more of like a just I want to play defense. I want to do this. I'll skate the puck when I can. He's not as skilled as Jet, but he has like that secondary style. Like he can kind of fit that role, that mold. So if he made a team and the coach says, yeah, you're going to be top 6, you're going to have to play your way into that 5-4-5 role, whatever it is. But you're going to be in the lineup, maybe in and out here and there. But I think that he would benefit from that more than Jet going and filling that 4th line center role that he's never played before. You have to go into your first year of junior having a secondary role. After, if you can adjust mentally, you will be your confidence. That's my opinion on it. I know a lot of guys will agree. If you leave too early and you have to fill a role that you're not used to and you can't do it, coaches just play you play yourself out, not in. You know, that's my thought. Did I answer your question? Is it
Yeah. Well, for me too. Yeah, for both. And I think Corey, is that.
Yeah. Oh no, that was exactly the question I was asking, because it's the proverbial what's the best spot on the team. I'm gonna use baseball language, right? So you always hear about the kids. You're like, oh, I had to play the outfield today, or my kid's not a center fielder, he's a shortstop. And what I tell my kids is, you know what the best position is? Anyone that's not on the bench. So you start talking about, developing the secondary skills. Maybe you were a goal scorer for your team, but on this team, I need you to kill penalties. And what can you do at this level? And that's kind of why I wanted to ask about the maturity. You said it better than me, Matt.
Right.
What's the maturity of your game? Much different than what the skills that you have are.
Exactly. And we've had kids that are seen, like when we first started, we had a kid that was dominant in youth hockey. He was like the go through puberty for guy, right? Like big, fast. And got to high school and it wasn't quite it got too fast, right? Like he could skate. And as his senior year came, I just said, you can either pout and not be in the lineup, or you can list your role as a 4th line center. You're going to kill penalties, and you will get a regular shift if you do your job. And he's like, yeah, every time we got a penalty, he was the first kid looking at me on the bench. Him, right? Just wanted to be on the bench, wanted to be on the ice to block shots, wanted to do that. And then if there was an opportunity to like be a defensive center, who's the first guy looking? Me. I want to go. So there's that. If you can get them to get to that, like I thought that kid actually probably could add a career after high school just by his mindset, right?
Matt, I'm sorry to interrupt, but is there anything better as a coach than a kid who owns their role and then thrives in it?
Nothing. There isn't.
No.
Because you almost call on them more.
That's something that I've kind of learned too, and in watching him coach and everything is, you get that star syndrome mentality, where like that's the only person that has something to offer is the superstar, the standout. But that's, as you learn more about it in any sport, hockey, but also, like you said, even with baseball, just that idea that you can have a role to play and you can play that role well, and it may not be the superstar role, but that doesn't mean it's not important, and it doesn't mean that we don't need you to play it. And I know which kid he's talking about, and everything just unlocked for him when he saw that. Like, well, I don't have to be the superstar to still be an important, integral part of this team. And
yeah, he played 15 minutes a night.
Right. You just saw him, and before that, because he had been the superstar, he was struggling because he was feeling like, well, if I don't have that identity, what identity do I have?
Yeah. Now, to to blend the two topics and play devil's advocate here, would you change your mind about when a kid should leave based on what their long-term goals are? And my example is if they have that secondary skill set or secondary role and they excel in it, the further they go, not many people, say from a junior team's maybe a little different, say from a college, not many colleges come look and say, I need a strictly defensive guy that I don't care about the points, but I just need a face-off man, and I'll give them X scholarship. Would you change either of your opinions based on how far I'm going to push that secondary skill, knowing that player wants to go on play as far as he can?
No, and my prime example is Mario Lamaru. He was never a big goal scorer, never a big I mean he pointed and stuff, but like he was a captain of the University of North Dakota and he had 25 goals in 4 years. He wasn't the biggest offensive guy. I I if I'm answering your question right, Kyle, you're asking if
It's really about timing in that secondary role. So you said, well,
he was good in that secondary role and not in like his first role, like he was just good in that secondary, would I push him on? Are you saying?
So just we'll play devil's advocate. We'll rewind the clock a little bit and saying, hey, like this kid's got some skill as a defensive center.
Yeah,
I think I left him in high school, or hey, play one extra year of bantam, stay in high school till you're a senior.
Yeah.
Keep refining those defensive skills and then see where it goes? Or would you still be okay suggesting he goes early, knowing you may have cut off the offensive role?
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because hey, getting beat defensively is also a bad confidence thing too.
Yeah.
When you're not physically ready to be a part of that, it's tough. Cole Spicer, who's just at the Bruins camp, he was our fourth line center as a freshman, and he played 10 minutes a night for us on a really good Central team. And that kid went on to development camp, honey baked, all that stuff. Like he was a really good hockey player, obviously Duluth, and that was camp. But at that time in his development, did I feel like he should be going against was that a few really good teams out there? Centerman on the D zone draw with 5 minutes left? No.
Yeah.
I don't. But skill wise, his number one attribute being a skill, he's on a power play. But defensively, I didn't put him out there in those situations to fail. Cade Stibbe was a senior that year. We were up on Davies, I think 5-2 or something one game. And I put him out there with 7 minutes left in the game against Cade Stibbe as a defensive zone draw.
Yeah.
And Grant looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're up 5-1, 5-2 games in hand, right? This is where they need to learn." I feel like I'm butchering this question for you, but I'm trying to.
No, that's good. It's good to have the examples. Just the thought process is really what I'm interested in.
If they're good in the secondary role, I think they're better. If they're better in the secondary role, I think they're more ready to move on in any development stage, in my opinion.
So what you're saying is they're elite at their primary role, but they're solid in the secondary role.
If they're not ready for that secondary role, like I said, Cole is great as a primary guy. He wasn't ready physically in his secondary role, where I didn't put him in those situations to fail. I gave him opportunity to play against the best guys when the time was right. Obviously, he went on to have a great career, and he's a great hockey player. I feel if he was bigger, stronger, better in a defensive role, he would have been more apt. I would have been more apt to put him out in defensive situations as more offensive.
Well, Kyle, knowing that our viewership is probably not younger kids listening, that's what you call the prototypical write this down moment. Like,
yeah.
I want to be a dude in whatever I do.
Yeah.
Be elite at your secondary role. I don't know how many kids actually take that in and own that. Like, okay, I know I'm a quarterback, right? I know I'm a center. I know I'm a catcher, right? But what else do I do well that my team needs, or what can I do that my team needs that'll differentiate me? That's not my primary thing. I think that's bulletin board material, man.
Thanks for explaining it, because I went you went the shortcut, I went the long route. But yeah, you nailed it right on the head, Cal.
Let it be known, I used less
Conquer the
words
world.
instead of more.
Now, as a follow-up for Kelly, when you move away with your boys, whenever it's time, are you going to do
Right, when I get my apartment.
billet, apartment, hotel? And
Probably apartment. I don't want, I mean, hotel is appealing. It's not financially probably smart. And I don't do the billet thing. I think it's weird living with other people.
Matt
I,
included?
when boys do it, I'm always impressed with them because I'm like, it's kind of awkward, like, well, you're better than me because
you get a good look.
get a Miss McGill.
Who gets to live with you at the apartment? Is it husband, boyfriend, or mistress?
No, mom. Just mom. He's
Okay.
gotta go to work,
So-
and I gotta be there in case my boys.
Boyfriend, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Pool, I was gonna go pool boy, but it felt like
well,
don't know
it
these days.
depends on the apartment complex.
Yeah.
Some of these places are not ideal.
Yeah.
Now, my
He
wife
did,
has a
so he
I'm
played
sorry.
juniors with a kid that's mom did get an apartment where they were
Yeah.
at, and so it wouldn't be unprecedented. So I'm not even gonna feel
You
bad
had a
about
good
it.
career too.
Yeah.
And that's great. And so just to kind of trying to give a shout out to my wife, she has an idea called Dorms for Moms, where moms will go and live. And now just to be fair, I have optioned the movie rights to that film. It's going to be a little different, but Dorms for Moms is going to be a hit. But she would actually like to live in one. So, you can contact her off the air.
Yep.
I feel like your option.
that title before the adult film industry gets
Yeah. Kelly and I are on the
Dorms for
same page
Moms.
here. Same page.
Mine was just kind of a rom-com, but whatever.
Hey, well, listen, your wife used to write descriptions for smut shows, so she'd be the gal. Like this week, this could really go somewhere.
I'm gonna pop over to the adult movie internet database and see if this has already been used.
I think, yeah. I think there really is just some of the not the real good stuff, though. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess what I'm saying is I know her bona fides and writing all the good stuff.
Yeah. Dorms for Moms. I love that so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Because that's just what every kid wants. Spread your wings and have mom be right there with you. Like some of them kind of do, but like to a degree, I think there's a I'm so glad I'm not living by my mom anymore situation.
Yeah. I would agree. Matt, if you could fast forward the clock 5 years down the road, what do you think high school hockey looks like in North Dakota? There's a lot of every prognosticator in the state has an idea about how to make it better. What would you, if you had your druthers, could implement it now, go forward 5 years, what would it look like?
Right now, 5 years, if everybody stays in the state, it is going to be really, really good. Really good. I think we're on the path to be a really, really good state. It looks good. Should I say good again? It's
really, really good.
Yeah.
Two reallys.
Honestly, just judging by, like, I'm looking through some of the stuff like I've evaluated, and there's some kids out there. And I think if we just kept them in house now, that the challenge is keeping them in house.
Yeah.
I think we can all compete against each other and make each other better. I don't know. There's kids from all over. Like there are some kids from Minot. There's a ton of kids from Minot that are really good. You guys know that.
Yeah.
Especially in our kids' age group. Above them, there's some really good kids. And go ahead.
Contractually barred from saying anything nice about Minot. You can't.
Yeah, we don't do that. So
But I hate them.
also terrible.
I think Bismarck's on the right path. They're just starting out the new development situation they got going on there. Mario's there, and They have that good hockey coordinator. They're doing some nice things there too. So I think the whole state in a whole is looking real healthy. I think we're really, really good. It's we're gonna see some really good hockey the next, well, I think next year is gonna be good too.
Yeah.
Next
So
year on and years.
no changes at all. You just sort of let it ride out.
My biggest change, Kyle, is just stay home.
Yeah.
We lose so many kids because they think everything is better. I just
I think that stigma though that Kyle talked about, where sometimes you feel like you're almost like apologize, like or not apologizing, but having to sell the, over the North Dakota part. I think that there's a lot of kids that feel though don't go, if they don't leave high school and go play somewhere, that it speaks against them, like that's suggesting that they weren't good enough. They were only good enough to stay at North Dakota high school hockey.
Yeah.
You also have to keep in mind the amount of kids. Cartersville just made it. Oklahoma State. He's going to go there. He's going to play, have a good career there or whatever. And a lot of kids there's 5 or 6 kids, especially from Red River right this year, they're playing on. But most kids played high school. How many kids they try out against that played AAA, played other junior, played, and they beat them out. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. There's so many good hockey players here. If you just stick it out and play and want to get better every day, I think it just makes our state in a whole better. Like right now, and I think we need to do a service to South Dakota right now because just saw that right up in the paper about their first NHLer out of South Dakota. Walker Dewar.
Yeah.
Really good player, and I'm excited for it. But like, he was one of those kids that did the whole youth hockey, Sioux Falls, Brookings, back to Sioux Falls. Then he left early or whatever. But he came back. He just loves South Dakota.
Yeah.
Like, let's promote that.
Yeah.
You need, like, why not? Let's get more kids from South Dakota playing. It doesn't need to be you have to pay 10 grand to go play hockey. Let's get their high school programs. So if we get a Walker Dewar playing hockey in the NHL, when he retires, let's let him come home, build another program to get these kids to go better. Like, we're so fortunate because we have so many kids, so many people in Grand Forks that have played at a high level.
Yeah.
That come home and they just continue to teach it. It's just tradition and our culture here. But like, why kill it? Why not just build it?
Matt, to that point, I was talking to my eldest a few years ago, and I said, you don't understand the access you guys have to good coaching. Like, you're too young to understand these concepts, but like my high school coaches versus your, elementary to middle school coaches. Like, I looked at a game he was playing, and on the bench was an NHL coach, a college coach, another college coach, and then a guy who had significant hockey playing after high school. It's like the access that we've been lucky to have in this area is insane. I mean, I don't mean Grand Forks. I mean, we play benches anywhere. It's incredible, the access and the training that these people have. And just saying you played the game at a high level doesn't make you a good coach. I think we all understand that as coaches. Good coaches are good coaches, right? But it doesn't hurt.
And that's my point, though, to like the South Dakota thing. Let's build their program so those kids don't have to spend money. Like, Grant Paranika's best quote was when we first started coaching. He asked, "What do you think the best hockey player in the world is playing right now?" The kids, Wayne Gretzky. He's retired. No. Where do you think he is? Nobody had an answer. He said, probably didn't play at all. Okay, he didn't have the courage to do it, or B, didn't have the money. So why are we limiting things to having to move? Why are we limiting? I don't like that. I want to South Dakota, yeah, build that program. You got your first NHL. Now build that thing. We don't have to go to Sioux Falls Power. Granted, they're a great program. They produce great players. Play at Brookings High School. Play at Sioux Falls High School. Play at Rapid City High School. Let's build these programs so then these kids that don't have the funds, don't have the opportunity, we need to get them out there. Because if you shut down high school hockey, you're going to limit the game to there's this many kids,
Yeah.
you're going to bring it down to this one. And then you're going to have the same exact player.
Yeah. I think other sports, even in South Dakota, have that figured out now too. Just making that pipeline sort of the standard.
Yeah.
And I think if, hockey figures that out, and I think maybe there's a role there for North Dakota too, with South Dakota is going down and playing them or setting things up too, where they just like we have the opportunity to play against Minnesota teams, or in the past have had that opportunity, kind of pay it forward that way a little.
Right. And look at some of the teams that we played from South Dakota. They took it to us.
Yeah.
Kids were younger, like there were some nice hockey people, the whole state, but
yeah, but they're there.
Yeah, there's kids there.
So great point. We're nearly at time, and Corey has some real burning questions for you that Corey was so adamant he get these questions out, he wrote them down. have a sip, get comfortable. Let's hear it.
All right.
Number one, I want you to tell me what do I like about Minot, North Dakota?
Why not Minot?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. That's the correct answer, sir.
Yes, correct.
They have the state fair.
Yeah.
There's
I'm
that.
gonna pass.
Kid
Who
Rock
cares?
is there.
Who's driving to Minot for a state fair?
I asked that question today to a buddy of mine I work with who he's back in Grand Forks, but he has a house still in Minot. And I go, what the hell do you think they made Minot the spot for the state fair?
Just enough open space.
And he goes, I have no idea.
We've never gotten an answer to that question.
Yeah. If you describe the middle of nowhere, would it be Minot, North Dakota?
Could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Very serious questions. Von Dutch hats. How do you feel about them?
Answer carefully.
I think it's very it's a nice look, in my opinion.
Well, and I had to explain to him.
If you weren't being held hostage.
I had no idea about Von Dutch hats, Corey.
Neither did I.
We pulled up in front of Earl's in Winnipeg, and a gal was walking down the street, and she goes, "Oh my God, Von Dutch! What are we in 2005 or something?" She said, and I go,
We were.
What's Von Dutch? Paris Hilton? She says, and I go, no idea.
A little more so Nicole Richie. But everybody was wearing Von Dutch. Everybody who was anybody.
I don't know. I thought the gal looked great.
Brody Jenner,
walking down downtown Winnipeg.
She looked Winnipeg good. I mean, I'll say that, but
works for me.
Matt, here's the next burning question.
All right.
What is your best chirp of all time?
I'm the worst chirper on the planet.
Oh,
bad.
Come on, give us something.
I'm a like, hey, if a guy says you're terrible, I'm like, that's not nice.
You may have killed my follow-up question.
Yeah, or I just whack him with my stick, or he beats me up. One of the two. It's I'm not a great chirper at all.
He's not a think on his
vanilla nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the follow-up question anyways, even knowing it's going to be disappointing, much like my wife thinks. What is the worst thing you've ever said to a goaltender?
He has two brothers that are goaltenders too, so
that can count. That counts.
You gotta dig deep.
We have fist fought. So worst thing I ever said to a goaltender.
Have you ever smarted off after you've scored?
I don't. It's just not my style.
Oh, that's so stupid.
I think really hard, but
this is why he married me. Because I would shit talk so hard. I'd be like, I bet you want that one back, huh? I'd just be a piece of shit.
Here's a good story. nothing I said, but what I did, my mom captured it in a picture. So I came down, shot a puck. Brother Casey saved it because he was playing for Bismarck. I was playing for Fargo. And as he's covering the puck, I'm coming in with a 2-hand slash on his glove. And you bet I followed through on his hand and tried breaking my brother's. And because he saved my shot, right? Well, one of the toughest guys in the league, Nick Beadle, great guy, shout out, grabs me and he's got me up against the glass like this, and he's looking at Casey going, "Can I hit him? Can I hit him?" And I look at my brother, and I guess this might be not a chirp, but maybe a begging question. No, please tell him not to hit me. No, don't let him hit me. So I mean, if I don't ever talk to goaltenders because I had two brothers that were, and I'm always sympathetic to them. I do like scoring on them.
Okay, so Kyle, how much time do we have?
I'm the worst.
I mean, it's open-ended, really.
Okay, because I promised last podcast I would tell you the story of my best chirp ever. So now I can get Matt's opinion on what I think is my best chirp ever.
I think about it often
You're going to
since
be
you told me.
fantastic at it because you're quick.
Right. No, that wasn't the chirp. That was the worst thing I've said to a goaltender. That's what we discussed last week.
Okay.
So best chirp ever. It was a beer league softball game. So old men playing beer league softball. So set the scene, right? And scene. And so this was probably when I was in my late 30s, which feels like, decades ago. And what did you say?
My age is what you're saying.
Yeah, decades ago. So we ended up playing in a tournament, a group of what I would have called at that time younger kids, and it was cloudy out. And I got to first base, and I actually in beer league softball accidentally topped the ball, grounded a bunt, and ran it out to third base. And I got to first base, and these kids were chirping the whole game. And this kid looks at me and goes, "Hey, is it sunny out? Old man, why do you need the sunglasses on your eyes? Because it was pretty sunny out." And I looked at him, and I looked at our dugout, and I called time. And I yelled at my dugout. I said, "Hey, Gusto, do you remember that time we were up in the Iron Range and, we were at that bar? You know that woman who was topless dancing on the table? Yeah. You remember that place?" And he yells from dugout. Glorious moment of I'm going to go with it. He goes, "Yeah, I remember that girl." And I looked at the guy at first base and I go, "I think this guy might be my son."
And you win.
Yeah, did totally had nothing to say. Nothing to say there.
No.
And then he went home and had a weird talk
Yeah.
with his mom.
Yeah. Mom,
I was like, he looks just like me. I don't know
Yeah,
what to
in the
do.
Iron Range, and don't freaking lie.
oh, that's fantastic.
Rate me, Matt. Rate
What
it.
a lead up. What a lead up.
Yeah,
Like that guy's going, what kind of bullshit? And then it just hits him.
yeah, I love it.
That's a chirp
Wow.
you can only use in baseball, though, when you have nothing but free time to stand on first base.
All sorts of free time to think about.
Hockey, they've already skated away. Your thing's done. Get back here.
One of the best chirpers I ever played with, though, was Emery Olausen, Calgary guy. He was like a stand-up comedian. Like he did it after games. He'd go and be a comedian. But anyways, we'd be playing and little dust up would happen, and guys are grabbing him, and guys, "Fuck, F you," you're saying, swearing at him.
They're
And you go,
swearing a lot.
"Oh, sorry."
Swearing is loud.
You go, "Hey, stop, you jerk." Like, what are you doing, jerk? No, just to watch guys just stop coming at him because they go, "Hey,
You Mimi?
meanie, stop, man. Hey, stop being a mean guy. Like, quit, you jerk." And like they just stop, like, what? And he would just completely belittle these guys just by being a dork on the ice. And we felt bad for him,
It can really hurt this kid's
That's
feelings.
fantastic.
Really?
Those are the best ones.
That's awesome. Is that the best chirp you've ever heard? I mean, that's pretty high on my list of just being overly nice to a point where it
Overly
embarrasses
nice.
everybody. Yeah.
It is fun. No, best chirp I heard was against me.
Okay.
I wear graph skates. And
All right.
He's hanging on.
yeah.
You and 3-year-old refs.
It's him and
Hey.
3 other
Yeah.
Matt, we've talked about it before, but Parker and the orange sticks. My
Yeah.
eldest, his second hockey stick was a graph stick, and I got a lot I caught a lot about that one.
Yeah. So I'm still hanging on to the grass skates, and but it hurt my feelings a little bit. But I was skating by. I was actually a pretty good player at the time, and the guy screams out from the bench, "I thought you had to be good to wear graph." And like the four good guys in the NHL wear graph, and then here I am in the lower leagues, like wearing graph, and they chirp me about my graph skates, and I'm like,
Don't
Shut up,
don't feel
stupid.
bad. I had
God, that hurt.
a kid this year at
Up by
baseball.
graph skates.
Yeah, I had a kid this year at baseball do the same thing to me, demoralized me. I showed up in New Balance turf cleats, a pair of shorts, and a t-shirt, and the shorts
They're
were
white.
of regular length. They're black shorts. They were to just above my kneecaps. And he looks at me and goes, "Really rocking that dad drip today, aren't you?"
Bad drip.
That's it, Kyle. If I don't see t-shirts that say dad drip now,
Yeah.
Rocking the dad drip.
I'm rocking the dad drip.
Trademark. Kyle, we're gonna do a federal registration on that trademark tomorrow. Let's just get rocking on
Rocking
that.
that dad drip, aren't you?
That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
Again, we should watch out for that the title dad drip, because if we don't copyright it, the adult industry is probably going to be all over it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do a double feature, dad drip and mom dorm.
Mom dorms.
Mom.
I don't want to watch either of these films. I'm
Why
not gonna lie.
Corey, all right, opportunities get less as you get older, okay? You
Yeah.
I tell you, Kelly
Kelly
told a story at dinner today, and I think we probably found our star for mom dorm.
Oh, hell yeah. That gal's got to be available.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sounds like
I did not know where that was going.
Oh,
I'm sorry, guys.
I don't know where it did go. Now there's OnlyFans, so maybe that's what she's doing.
I missed the Vegas trip. Is what happened.
It was a good one. It was a good one.
Well, I tell you what, it's we're a little over time, so I think we're gonna thank Matt for finally showing up 4 episodes in. Appreciate it. That's
he's gotta like coach hockey. I guess that makes him qualified to talk on hockey or something.
Matt shows up on
Not
Corey
a big
time.
deal.
Thanks to everyone. Thanks for to Pull Tab Sports for having us on.
Not just overspeak. That's kind of my thing.
Kind of what you just did to Kyle right there.
Yeah, hey, that's fine. We've had 2 guests now. We've had our first American guest, so look at us. We're officially international. So join us next week when we'll have another guest.
Corey's American. Oh,
or you can just yell out the window.
I already yelled at him out the window once today, so let's keep it going.
Perfect. Let's keep that vibe going.
Let's keep those good times going.
Every time he's out mowing the lawn, you got to yell dad drip at him now.
You got to see that guy's shorts. They are total dad drip.
Eric has the best dad drip.
Yeah.
We're gonna gift you both those New Balance, the white leather with the navy blue and leather with the filling in it that I can only guess is Tempur-Pedic mattress. And you're both getting a pair.
Lamoureux Cup dads.
Oof.
That's mandatory.
Oof.
Dad drip t-shirt.
That's some BDE, big dad energy.
Jean shorts.
Yes.
And some white New Balances.
Damn it.
Does
maybe we should make it
Birkenstock make white sandals for men?
We should probably make that a dad's only thing, because we don't, Corey talked about hotel dates, and I think if we showed up in those outfits, the kids would be left to their own devices for 3 to 7 minutes every night. So
exactly.
Feels aggressive, Kyle.
Too much big dad energy. The moms
elevator ride up, elevator ride down.
Just women, flesh and blood.
Yeah.
You can only do so much. Well, listen, thanks to everyone. A lot of fun as usual, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
Awesome.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime.